Guys, Mark Zuckerberg is in major trouble. Facebook expects to face a massive fine of up to $5 billion from the Federal Trade Commission as the result of an investigation into its privacy policies. Once again, big data fails to protect its consumers' privacy, so why should we keep trusting them? Well, we shouldn't, and one way to fight back is by using a virtual private network to simply block your IP address from big data spying and tracking you. This month, Virtual Shield is offering a Memorial Day special of 35% off all VPN plans and all premium add-on plans, including Protection Plus, residential access, monthly maintenance, phone support, and VIP performance plans for as low as $3 per month. Plus, you can sign up for a free 30-day trial so that you can try Virtual Shield and see what the hype is about. You've got nothing to lose. You can sign up now for 35% off and 1 month free at my special website, www.virtualshield.com/redpill78. You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the corruption detector, and this is your Red Pill News. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. We witnessed a momentous event take place in Washington, D.C. The special counsel has closed up shop. Robert Mueller is retiring again. Robert Mueller will no longer be heading up the office of the special counsel, and he did a real mic drop today. But a lot of people are saying that it's on Donald Trump. However, we're going to talk about why I think it's a mic drop on the Democrats, because these idiots are taking the bait. So he said, and I quote, "If we had confidence President did not commit a crime, we would have said so." And the controversial special counsel Robert Mueller made his statement this morning at about 11 a.m. It was Mueller's first public statement in 2 years. Mueller, of course, blamed the Russians for influencing the elections. Russians. Mueller accused Russia of working with WL, although we know they didn't, to damage the Hillary Clinton campaign by releasing truthful emails between her and her staff. The only damage that was done was the fact that Hillary Clinton was exposed as an evil, vile person. Mueller then said, "If we had confidence the president did not commit a crime, we would have said so. We did not, however, make a determination if the president did commit a crime." Let's go ahead and take a little listen here from Mueller's speech today at the DOJ.
This volume includes a discussion of the Trump campaign's response to this activity, as well as our conclusion that there was insufficient evidence to charge a broader conspiracy. And in the second volume, the report describes the results and analysis of our obstruction of justice investigation involving the president. The order appointing me special counsel authorized us to investigate actions that could obstruct the investigation. We conducted that investigation, and we kept the office of the acting attorney general apprised of the progress of our work. And as set forth in the report, after that investigation, if we had had confidence that the president clearly did not commit a crime, we would have said so. We did not, however, make a determination as to whether the president did commit a crime. The introduction to the volume 2 of our report explains that decision. It explains that under long-standing department policy, a president cannot be charged with a federal crime while he is in office. That is unconstitutional. Even if the charge is kept under seal and hidden from public view, that too is prohibited. The special counsel's office is part of the Department of Justice, and by regulation, it was bound by that department policy. Charging the president with a crime was therefore not an option we could consider. The department's written opinion explaining the policy makes several important points that further informed our handling of the obstruction investigation. Those points are summarized in our report, and I will describe 2 of them for you. First, the opinion explicitly permits the investigation of a sitting president because it is important to preserve evidence while memories are fresh and documents available. Among other things, that evidence could be used if there were co-conspirators who could be charged now. And second, the opinion says that the Constitution requires a process other than the criminal justice system to formally accuse a sitting president of wrongdoing. And beyond department policy, we were guided by principles of fairness. It would be unfair to potentially accuse somebody of a crime when there can be no court resolution of the actual charge. So that was Justice Department policy. Those were the principles under which we operated, and from them we concluded that we would not reach a determination one way or the other about whether the president committed a crime.
Video. Mueller then said the president cannot be charged while in office. It appears he just gave Democrats permission to impeach President Trump. That he did. He said, our investigation is complete. The special counsel's office is formally closing, and I am resigning from the DOJ. He also said, I do not question the Attorney General's good faith in how he released our report. So he gave Barr a pass, but he said that the president cannot be charged while in office. The Democrats are salivating right now. I am salivating at the idea of the Democrats salivating because these morons just walked into a giant rat trap. Jerry Nadler gave a press conference right after. He said, the president is lying. Mueller's report calls for Congress to respond to the lies and crimes. All options are on the table. All options obviously means impeachment. Many Democrats are now calling for the impeachment of the president. So following his remarks, far-left House Judiciary Chairman Jerry Nadler released a prepared statement. He said, given that the special counsel Mueller was unable to pursue criminal charges against the president, it falls to Congress to respond to the crimes, lies, and other wrongdoings of President Trump, and we will do so. No one, not even the President of the United States, is above the law. We have the entire statement right here. We would like to thank the special counsel Robert Mueller for his service to our nation over the past 2 years. In his statement this morning, special counsel Mueller reaffirmed the report, which found substantial evidence that Russia attacked our political system and that the president sought to obstruct Mueller's investigation over and over again. He also confirmed 3 central points. He did not exonerate the president of the United States of obstruction of justice. Obstruction of justice is a serious crime, and the strikes at the core of our justice system, and the Constitution points to Congress to take action to hold the president accountable. Although Department of Justice policy prevented the special counsel from bringing criminal charges against the president, the special counsel has clearly demonstrated that President Trump is lying about the special counsel's findings, lying about the testimony of key witnesses in the special counsel's report, and is lying in saying that the special counsel found no obstruction and no collusion. Given that the special counsel Robert Mueller was unable to pursue criminal charges against the president, it falls to Congress to respond to these crimes. No one is above the law. Nadler and Democrats will move ahead with and hold President Trump accountable for the non-crimes. Here comes the impeachment vote. So, guess what's going to happen, guys? Nadler and the Democrats are going to call for the impeachment of the president. It's not going to work. They will not be able to impeach him because there was no high crimes and misdemeanors that were committed by our president. There was no finding of obstruction of justice. There was no finding of collusion because collusion and obstruction are fairy tales. They are fantasies that exist only in the fever dreams of people like Jerry Nadler when he wakes up in the middle of the night and says, "Give me a hoagie." He and his cronies will not be able to find anything. They do not have the votes to impeach President Trump. It's going to have to go through both chambers of Congress, and it will simply not happen. Now, what will that do? Well, that will galvanize Trump's base. That will secure his support in 2020. It will also make the Democrats look like complete and utter morons. Now, once impeachment is over and done with, that's it. There is absolutely nothing left. Every time they go out on the mainstream news and say, President Trump, President Trump, President Trump, it's like a free commercial. How do you think this guy got into office without having to pay for all that advertising that Hillary Clinton wasted her money on? Because every time they open their mouths, the name Donald Trump is on their lips. We already know the president is innocent. There were no crimes that were committed. And now, once they can't find any crimes and they are unable to impeach him, it will be a fact. It will be written in gold on a tablet. It will be written forever in the annals of history of the United States. That time and time again, when the Democrats tried to take down Donald Trump, and they never could, because why? He is squeaky clean, the Teflon Don. Donald Trump has done nothing wrong. He will continue to only make things better for us here in America, and this will lead to the defeat of people like Jerry Nadler. Perhaps we will have some strong Republican contenders in these areas and districts where all of these coup plotters and naysayers live currently. I don't know, guys. Tell me what you think, but I think that this is a really good thing. The special counsel's investigation is over. They will be unable to impeach President Trump, and they will certainly lift him up again to be reelected in 2020.
Mr. Mueller and his team of prosecutors and investigators worked tirelessly to follow the facts and pursue justice to the furthest extent allowed. Although Department of Justice policy prevented the special counsel from bringing criminal charges against the president, the special counsel has clearly demonstrated that President Trump is lying. He is lying about the special counsel's findings, lying about the testimony of key witnesses in the special counsel's report, and above all, lying in saying that the special counsel found no obstruction and no collusion. In his statement this morning, Special Counsel Mueller reaffirmed his report. It found substantial evidence that Russia attacked our political system, that the Trump campaign benefited from Russian interference, that Trump and those around him repeatedly welcomed Russia's support, and that throughout the subsequent investigation, Trump sought to obstruct Mueller time and time again.
Is it just me, or does Jerry Nadler look like he's lost most of his hair over the weekend? I know that he was balding already, and, God bless him. Many of us are. But it looks to me that he has lost a much larger percentage of his hair. Unless perhaps he just didn't put like that sprinkles on his hair that maybe he normally does. I know they like to do that in Hollywood and in D.C. But I think Jerry Nadler is very nervous. I think that all weekend he was frightened. He was very, very upset thinking about what was coming next. And now he's been emboldened by the statements made by Robert Mueller. He thinks he's going to be able to impeach Donald Trump. Well, Jerry, I have news for you. You will not succeed. You and your political hack cronies in Washington, D.C. are going to be defeated yet again. We lift you up, Donald Trump, and it's not just us. It is the hand of God. This man is golden, all right? There is nothing that Donald Trump can do to put himself in peril. He is on a different level than these people. He is 50 moves ahead. This, again, 4D chess, guys. This is 4D chess. This is not the game of checkers or backgammon, perhaps, that Nadler and the Dems are playing. Keep watching, guys. Mark my words. This is going to be a good thing. Now, roughly after the statement made by the former special counsel, Robert Mueller, the Office of the Inspector General dropped their findings on top FBI officials illegally leaking information to the media. And that included sensitive info sealed by federal courts. But the DOJ declines prosecution. Now, we're going to talk about that too. But the OIG announced Wednesday findings of misconduct by an FBI deputy assistant director for unauthorized contacts with the media, disclosing law enforcement and other sensitive information to the media, and accepting a gift from the media. Despite the fact that this senior FBI official, who was not named in the summary, clearly broke multiple laws, the DOJ declined to prosecute the individual. The OIG investigation concluded that the DAD engaged in misconduct when the DAD disclosed to the media the existence of information that had been filed under seal in federal court. Also, contempt of court provided without authorization FBI law enforcement sensitive information to reporters on multiple occasions, and had dozens of official contacts with the media without authorization in violation of FBI policy. The OIG also found that the DAD engaged in misconduct when the DAD accepted a ticket valued at approximately $225 to attend a media-sponsored dinner as a gift from the member of the media in violation of federal regulations and FBI policy. Even though this high-ranking FBI official leaked sensitive information, including the existence of information that had been filed under seal in federal court multiple times, they were still not charged. Prosecution of the Deputy Assistant Director was declined, the OIG stated. If the FBI can't police itself, how can we expect the agency, which is revered as the premier law enforcement agency, to police us? Where is the justice? That's right. It's a fair question to ask. Where is justice in today's world? It doesn't seem that it exists very much. It seems like we are constantly trying to battle against these bad actors, these people that are always breaking the law, but it doesn't matter if you work for the government. That's what it feels like. I know that, guys. But I'm going to show you something that I hope will change your minds. All right, so here I have a tweet from my good friend and fellow researcher, The Sharp Edge. This was initially this morning. She was the first person that I saw this information from. The fact that the OIG released their report, the fact that they declined to investigate. But she notes it's obviously because investigations are ongoing. Just because they're declining to charge at this juncture does not mean they will not charge at a later time. So I also wanted to show you a little clip. She pulled a post from the board, and this Anon says, "You now, FAGS, don't get it. Prosecution was denied because investigations were and are ongoing when the report was turned in." We have no idea when this report was turned into the DOJ, you guys. It could have been 6 months ago, And of course, as we know today, there are multiple investigations taking place. They're not going to show their hand. They are not going to show people what they're doing, what they're up to. They're going to drop it all at once. These people are going to be caught off guard because right now, they think it's the status quo. They might be afraid that Bill Barr is going to do his job as Attorney General, but I think everybody's kind of also hoping, and praying that he's not going to do his job, that it's going to be, game on for everything. All this stuff that they've been doing all these years, breaking the law, entrapping other people, putting the crimes that they themselves are guilty of on innocent parties. But I really do still believe that this is a new sheriff in town. Bill Barr is not doing anything at the moment, but that doesn't mean he won't in the future. Keep your eyes open. Now, we have some information on James Comey right here. He apparently made a stunning revelation. And the title of the article is this: "If Comey's not lying, then he just outed the Australians for using mifsud to entrap Papadopoulos." The former president's former FBI head, James Comey, is so deep in his lies that no matter what he says, he's going to say something false. Yesterday was no exception. Now, Comey wrote an op-ed for the Washington Post, and based on that op-ed, we now know either Australia was spying on George Papadopoulos or Comey is lying, or both. Yesterday, the far-left Washington Post printed an op-ed from former and now fired head of the FBI, James Comey. Comey called President Trump a liar, but like all liberals, he was projecting. Comey shared the following: "In late July, we, the FBI, learned that one of Trump's foreign policy advisors, George Papadopoulos, knew about the Russian effort 7 weeks before we did. This means that if Comey's telling the truth, the FBI only knew in late July that Papadopoulos was told by Russian Joseph Mifsud in a meeting in April that Russia had Hillary's emails. Taking this a step further, Comey states that the FBI did not know about Mifsud's discussion with Papadopoulos about Hillary's emails until late July, and therefore, according to Comey, either Mifsud was not an FBI spy or Comey was unaware that he was an FBI spy. If Mifsud was not an FBI spy, then who did he work for? Hand on chin. Comey and Mueller in this report state that Mifsud was a Russian. Patently false. However, we know that Mifsud wasn't a Russian spy because Mifsud had frequent contact with U.S. intel agencies and even presented at a U.S. government meeting in the U.S. after this date. He was most likely an Italian spy or a U.S. spy. Note that Comey also lies about the attack starting in mid-June 2016, with the first dumping of stolen emails. We know this is false because WL didn't drop any of the DNC's emails until the Democrats' convention in late July. Next, Comey says that the FBI learned that Papadopoulos was told that the Russians had Hillary's emails from an allied ambassador. According to the Daily Caller, Alexander Downer, the Aussie diplomat, passed this on to the U.S. Embassy in London in May 2016. According to a Wall Street Journal columnist, Kimberly Strassel, Alexander Downer, the former top Australian diplomat to the UK, passed information about a conversation he had on May 10, 2016 with Papadopoulos to the U.S. Embassy in London. What this means is that if Comey is telling the truth about the sequence of events, then it was the Australians who passed on the Mifsud-Papadopoulos conversation to the FBI. So if it was not the FBI or the clowns in America who spied on Papadopoulos by using Mifsud, then it was the Australians, because they were the only ones that we are aware of that knew that the Russians had Hillary's emails. Whoever used Mifsud to spy on Papadopoulos and plant information that the Russians had Hillary's emails committed a crime. Since he has a pattern of lying, it is most likely Comey. Well, the plot thickens again, you guys. Now, I tend to think that based on the information we learned from that Neon Revolt article yesterday, it's very possible that the Italians and the Australians were working together on this. Either way, this is straight-up entrapment. George Papadopoulos was on record saying that it would be treason if he went to the Russians to get that information. And we know that Hillary was desperate to be elected. She was desperate to have Trump not get elected in any case. And we know that we have an Italian contact saying that the Italians were looking to entrap him, all right, the Italian intel agencies, and then the Italian intel agency heads being fired. And of course, Australia is involved because Alexander Downer is an Australian, and he was here at the very beginning. He must have had some contact with Joseph Mifsud, and there must have been some type of parlay and planning in the background. So, once again, Jim Comey opens his mouth and he lies. Thank you very much, Jim Comey, for revealing yourself yet again. It's amazing how people reveal themselves when they start talking like that. Well, guys, it looks like Democrat Representative of Maryland, Elijah Cummings, and his wife are both in a lot of trouble. Hot water here. They are fighting back after he and his wife have been accused of a massive pay-to-play scandal. Sounds like normal Democratic playbook. Last week, it was first reported by the Washington Examiner that a charity run by Maya Rockeymoore, the wife of Rep. Elijah Cummings, received millions from special interest groups and corporations that had business before her husband's committee. Democrat Maryland Representative Elijah Cummings, chairman of the House Oversight Committee, was in very poor financial condition and heavily in debt due to unpaid child support to 3 women he had children with until the last 10 years or so after he married his young, politically connected wife, Maya Rockeymoore. Cummings blasted a complaint to the IRS against his wife as baseless and partisan in a statement to Fox News. He said, "These baseless claims come from a group funded by right-wing mega-donors known for their political hit jobs," Cummings said in a statement to Fox News. "I am confident that they will be exposed for what they really are, a fabricated distraction from the important work being done on behalf of Americans, such as lowering the skyrocketing prices of prescription drugs." Oh, actually, that's Donald Trump that's lowering the skyrocketing price of prescription drugs. And Elijah Cummings, when do you worry about doing something for the benefit or on behalf of the American public? So far this session, all you've been worried about is investigating President Donald Trump. Now it looks to me like perhaps it's time for the investigators to become the investigated. The backstory from Washington Examiner goes like this. Rockeymoore runs 2 entities, a nonprofit group called the Center for Global Policy Solutions and a for-profit consulting firm called Global Policy Solutions, LLC, whose operations appear to have overlapped, according to her IRS complaint filed by watchdog group the National Legal and Policy Center on Monday. The complaint states that the arrangement may have been used to derive illegal private benefit. Oh, you think? Global Policy Solutions received more than $6.2 million in grants between 2013 and 2016, according to tax records. Several of the nonprofit group's financial backers, which include Google, JP Morgan, and Prudential, have business interests before the House Committee on Oversight and government reform. Cummings has served as Democratic chairman on the committee since January and previously served as ranking member. Last week, Representative Cummings' wife blasted the Washington Examiner's complaint to the IRS as a hit piece. It appears a conservative front group and a news outlet are pushing a hit piece filled with faulty research, lies, and innuendo in an attempt to tarnish my personal reputation, professional work, and public service, as well as that of my spouse, Rocky Moore Cummings said in a statement to the Washington Post, calling the effort a distasteful attempt to intimidate my family into silence at such a pivotal moment in our nation's history. Meanwhile, Congressman Cummings' committee has launched multiple baseless investigations into President Trump's finances and security clearance process. I can tell you with my background in nonprofits, this right here is a classic scheme that goes on in the nonprofit sector all the time. You've got personal and private business that are running concurrent, and then you've got a governmental official, an elected governmental representative who is using his position to steer business and be able to create a situation where the nonprofit can receive large grants, which are then going to be funneled right back to this guy, Representative Cummings. This is a major problem. These places are essentially money farms, and the people who get involved know exactly what they're doing. They see an opportunity, they go in and they drain the federal government of these grant opportunities, and very little can come of this. You know, many times they receive these grants and they don't have to have any particular type of return on them. They can just try. They just try, they fail, okay, oh well, they got the grant and they don't have to pay it back. It's a grant. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this investigation goes. It's about time that our government started investigating the crimes of the Democrats because they have been acting without fear of reprisal for such a long time. This is business as usual in Washington. This is business as usual for many of these fake nonprofits. You know, they might have a real mission, but for many of them, the mission is simply to enrich these people that run them and the people that they answer to. And in this instance, they're answering to Elijah Cummings, who is answering to his interests in big business. And finally, guys, the journalist and potential hero of this entire story, J.A., is now in a hospital wing of the British prison he was being kept in. And his lawyer says he's in such bad shape that he can't have normal conversations. That sounds awful. The health of imprisoned WL founder J.A. has deteriorated so drastically that his lawyer says it is not possible to conduct a normal conversation with him. Swedish outlet Uppsala Nya Tidning reports that J.A. is so ill that he is now in the hospital wing of the prison. WL founder J.A.'s Swedish lawyer wants the arrest hearing on Monday in Uppsala to be postponed. According to the lawyer, who has now visited his client in the British prison, J.A. is admitted to the medical department and was unable to make a call, the newspaper reports. Now, he is currently imprisoned at Belmarsh Prison in the United Kingdom and facing 18 charges under the Espionage Act in the United States for his publication of the Iraq and Afghan war logs. If extradited and convicted, he could be sentenced to up to 175 years in prison. The award-winning publisher is under investigation in Sweden for made-up crimes, which he and many of his supporters believe is a setup to get him into the nation where he could be more easily extradited to the United States. A hearing in the case is scheduled for June 3rd, and J.A.'s legal team had attempted to get it postponed until his health improved. One of the reasons is that J.A.'s health situation on Friday was such that it was not possible to conduct a normal conversation with him, J.A.'s Swedish defense lawyer Per Samuelsson told Reuters. I meant that it should be postponed until I had time to meet again and go through the issues in peace and quiet. I suggested no specific date and meant it should be postponed until everything was ready, but the district court has now decided that this won't happen. Sweden had tried to drop the investigation in 2013, but was pressured to keep it open by the British government, further fueling speculation that it was a political hit job. A Crown Prosecution Service had emailed Swedish prosecutors telling them, "Don't you dare get cold feet." Wow. Prior to his arrest, J.A. spent nearly 7 years in the Ecuadorian embassy in London, unable to receive proper medical treatment despite his lack of sunshine and fresh air taking a toll on his system. Doctors who visited him there wrote an article for The Guardian pleading for him to be allowed to go to the hospital for treatment, headlining their account, "We examined J.A. and he badly needs care, but he can't get it." The doctors wrote, "Experience tells us that the prolonged uncertainty of indefinite detention inflicts profound psychological and physical trauma above and beyond the expected stressors of incarceration. These can include severe anxiety, pathological levels of stress, disassociation, depression, suicidal thoughts, post-traumatic stress disorder, and chronic pain, among others." A source close to J.A. have confirmed the reports about his health to the Gateway Pundit. "We have been watching the slow-motion assassination of J.A. They have been choking him to death by tactical psyops, siege tactics, and willful neglect as surely as if they placed a noose around his neck, not just in Belmarsh prison, but in the embassy as well. The only difference between his execution and someone on death row is the same as the difference between covert and overt warfare, which makes sense because the intelligence, judicial, and military agencies who are carrying out his death sentence operate within the same power structure which carries out war. First came the smears, propaganda, then came the siege, sanctions, and they staged their coup, dragged him out of the embassy. And now they've got him in their clutches, and they can do what they want behind closed doors. That's how you kill a nation while still looking like a nice guy, and that's how they're killing Assange, independent journalist Caitlin Johnston wrote of his conditions. Well, this is a very discouraging story. I was thinking that perhaps he was going to be tortured or at least given some really poor treatment while in that British prison. I know that True Reporting had given some reports on that specific issue, and he had some intelligence related to that. Of course, we also have the Post saying that he is under protection. Now, could be that this hospitalization is the only means they have to protect him while he is still in the hands of the British government. So perhaps it's going to play out in kind of a roundabout way. I do anticipate that things are going to get worse before they get better, but I wish this man all the luck in the world, and hopefully our guys get to him before it gets much worse. All right, that's all I have for you today. I want to thank everyone for joining me. As always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this was your Red Pill News. Good luck, everyone, and God bless.